I've been feeling this shift building for weeks, and I finally understand what it is. Saturn moved back into Aries yesterday, February 13th, and if you've been feeling like the atmosphere changed, like something clicked into place that you can't quite name yet, that's exactly what's happening. This isn't just another planetary transit where we talk about it for a week and move on. This is actually setting something in motion that's going to define the next couple years of your life. And here's the thing, Saturn already visited Aries back in May of last year, stayed for a few months, then retrograded back into Pisces in September. So, some of you might remember that period and what was coming up for you then. Well, Saturn's back now, and this time it's staying until April 2028. Whatever got introduced in that preview period, whatever themes started showing up in your life, they're about to get really, really, really fast. Before I go deeper into this, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe if you want more of these weekly breakdowns. And comment "I'm ready" below, because I want to see who's actually feeling this energy shift. Alright, so let me explain what makes this particular moment so intense. Saturn moving into Aries by itself is already significant, but what most people don't realize is that Neptune is already in Aries. Neptune entered Aries back in January. And right now, as Saturn crosses that same threshold, these two planets are moving toward each other. They're going to meet at exactly 0 degrees Aries on February 20th, which is next week. And that conjunction, that meeting point, it's one of the rarest alignments we'll see in our entire lifetime. Saturn and Neptune meet every 36 years, but the last time they met specifically in Aries was 1703. Like, we're talking over 300 years ago. And the last time they met at 0 degrees Aries, the very first degree of the zodiac, some astrologers are saying it was approximately 6,000 years ago. Whether that's precisely accurate or not, the point is, this is not a regular transit. This is a threshold moment. And I think that's why the energy feels so strange right now. It's not dramatic in an obvious way. It's subtle, but it's massive. Like the air pressure changed and your body noticed before your mind could catch up. You might be feeling restless, like you need to do something but you're not sure what. You might be questioning things you thought were settled. You might be noticing that certain people or situations suddenly feel misaligned with where you're going. That's all part of what's building right now. Let me break down what Saturn in Aries actually means, and then we'll talk about how Neptune factors in. Saturn is the planet of structure, discipline, reality checks, and long-term commitment. It's the part of the sky that asks, okay, what are you actually building here? What can you sustain? What's real versus what's just an idea? And when Saturn moves through a sign, it brings tests, lessons, and maturation to whatever that sign represents. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's fire, it's initiation, it's courage, independence, and taking action. Aries doesn't wait for permission or the perfect conditions. It just starts. So Saturn in Aries is this interesting tension between the planet that wants structure and patience and the sign that wants to move now. Saturn is actually in what's called its fall in Aries, which means it's uncomfortable here. The qualities of Aries, spontaneous, impulsive, individualistic, they clash with Saturn's need for careful planning and measured steps. But that friction, that's where growth happens. Over the next 2 years, Saturn in Aries is going to teach us how to balance boldness with responsibility, how to take action without being reckless, how to lead without burning out, how to fight for what matters without destroying ourselves in the process. And here's where it gets really interesting. Neptune is the planet of dreams, spirituality, illusion, dissolution, and transcendence. It rules everything that's intangible: imagination, compassion, art, but also confusion, delusion, and escapism. When Neptune moves through a sign, it dissolves the boundaries of whatever that sign represents. It makes things less solid, more fluid, more spiritual. Neptune in Aries, which started in January and stays until 2039, is about dissolving old ideas of identity, courage, and individuality. It's asking us to reimagine what it means to be a leader, a warrior, a pioneer, not in the old aggressive, dominating way, but in a way that's spiritually aligned, compassionate, and visionary. So when Saturn, the planet of reality and structure, meets Neptune, the planet of dreams and dissolution, at 0 degrees Aries, the very beginning of the zodiac, what you get is this cosmic invitation to make your dreams real, to take your vision and actually build it into something tangible. This is the energy of inspired action meeting grounded discipline. This is where the dreamer becomes the architect. And because it's happening in Aries, it's asking you to do this in a way that's bold, authentic, and deeply personal to who you are. Now, I'm not going to pretend this is going to be easy or comfortable. Saturn doesn't do easy. And Saturn conjunct Neptune brings up all the places where you've been living in fantasy instead of reality. It shows you where your dreams are unrealistic, where your faith has been misplaced, where you've been avoiding the hard work required to actually manifest what you say you want. But it also gives you the blueprint. It shows you exactly what needs to happen, what needs to be released, what needs to be restructured, so that your vision can actually take form. And because this is happening at 0 degrees Aries, the world point, the reset button of the entire zodiac, this isn't just personal. This is collective. We're all being asked to step into a new version of ourselves, a version that's more authentic, more courageous, more willing to take responsibility for the reality we're creating. The old structures, the old ways of doing things, they're dissolving, and we get to decide what we're building in their place. Let me talk about who's feeling this most directly. If you're an Aries, this is hitting your first house, your sense of self, your identity, your physical body. Saturn and Neptune are literally redefining who you are over the next couple years. You might feel like you're shedding an old version of yourself, and honestly, you are. You're being asked to step into a more mature, more spiritually aligned expression of your Aries energy. This might mean taking on more responsibility, setting stronger boundaries, or committing to something that requires discipline and focus. But it also means trusting your vision for who you're becoming, even when it doesn't make logical sense yet. If you're a Cancer, this is your 10th house, your career, your public reputation, your life direction. Saturn and Neptune are asking you what you're actually building in your professional life. What legacy are you creating? What do you want to be known for? And is what you're currently doing aligned with that vision? Or are you just going through the motions? This transit is going to challenge you to step into leadership in a way that feels authentic, not performative. You might be taking on new responsibilities at work, starting your own thing, or completely pivoting your career path. Whatever it is, it needs to reflect who you actually are, not who you think you should be. Libra, this is your 7th house, relationships and partnerships. Saturn and Neptune are restructuring how you show up in one-on-one connections. You're being asked to get real about what you need in partnership, what you're willing to give, and whether the people in your life are actually aligned with your growth. Some relationships will deepen during this time, becoming more committed and spiritually connected. Others will dissolve, not because they were bad, but because they belonged to an old version of you. This is about finding partnerships that support your vision, not ones that keep you stuck in patterns that no longer serve you. Capricorn, this is hitting your 4th house, home, family, roots, emotional foundation. Saturn is your ruling planet, so you're extra sensitive to its movements. This transit is asking you to rebuild your sense of security from the inside out. What does home mean to you now? What emotional patterns did you inherit from your family that you're ready to release? Where do you need more structure and boundaries in your personal life? This might involve literal changes to your living situation, or it might be about creating emotional stability in a way you've never experienced before. Either way, you're being asked to ground yourself in a new foundation, one that's based on who you're becoming, not who you were. For everyone else, look at where Aries falls in your chart, because that's the area of life where this Saturn-Neptune conjunction is activating. That's where you're being asked to dream bigger, but also get more real about what it takes to make those dreams happen. Now let's talk about timing, because this matters. Saturn officially entered Aries yesterday, February 13th, but the exact conjunction with Neptune happens on February 20th. That means we're in this incredibly potent week right now where both planets are moving closer and closer together. You might notice things shifting rapidly, clarity coming in, decisions that need to be made, old structures falling away. This is the universe clearing space so that what's meant to emerge actually can. And actually, there's a solar eclipse happening on February 17th, right in between Saturn entering Aries and the exact conjunction. This eclipse is in Aquarius and it's square Uranus, which adds this element of sudden revelation, shocking truth, or unexpected breakthrough. So if something major happens this week, if you receive information that changes everything, if a situation resolves itself in a way you didn't see coming, that's all part of the cosmic orchestration happening right now. The universe is making sure you see what needs to be seen before Saturn and Neptune lock into place. Here's what I want you to understand about this energy. This isn't about forcing anything. Saturn and Neptune together are teaching you that the most powerful manifestations happen when you combine inspired vision with patient, consistent action. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. You don't have to know every step of the path. But you do need to start. You need to take one small action toward the thing your soul keeps whispering about. Because Aries doesn't wait for perfect conditions. Aries starts before it's ready. And that might be the hardest part for some of you. Saturn wants a plan. Saturn wants to know it's going to work. But Neptune is asking you to trust something you can't see yet. To have faith in a vision that hasn't fully materialized. That tension, that's what you're working with right now. The key is to hold both. Be practical and be visionary. Be grounded and be open. Be disciplined and be inspired. I've been thinking a lot about what this transit means on a collective level. Because like I said, this is happening at 0 degrees Aries, which affects all of us. And what keeps coming up for me is this idea that we're being asked to reimagine leadership, independence, and courage. The old Aries archetype was very much about individual achievement, competition, being the strongest, the fastest, the first. But Saturn and Neptune together are dissolving that and asking us to create a new model. What does it look like to be courageous in a way that's also compassionate? What does it look like to be independent while still being connected to something larger than yourself? What does it look like to lead without dominating? These are the questions we're all going to be sitting with over the next couple years. And honestly, I think the answers are going to look different for each of us. That's kind of the point. This isn't about following a formula or doing what worked for someone else. This is about discovering your unique way of moving through the world with both strength and spirituality. Let me give you some practical ways to work with this energy, because I know that's what a lot of you are wondering. What do I actually do with this information? First, get clear on your vision. What do you want to create in your life over the next 2 years? Not what you think you should want, not what other people expect from you, but what your soul is actually calling you toward. Write it down. Make it specific. Let yourself dream without editing or limiting yourself. That's the Neptune part, allowing the vision to come through. Then, and this is the Saturn part, break it down into actual steps. What's one thing you could do this week toward that vision? What's one habit you could start? What's one boundary you need to set? What's one conversation you need to have? Saturn wants tangible action. It wants to see that you're serious, that you're willing to do the work. Second, look at where you've been avoiding reality. Saturn-Neptune conjunctions expose illusions. They show you where you've been lying to yourself, where you've been hoping things would magically work out without putting in the effort, where you've been staying in situations that are clearly not aligned because the truth feels too uncomfortable. This week especially, pay attention to what becomes undeniably clear. Don't ignore it. Don't rationalize it. Let yourself see what's actually there, and then make the choice that honors your growth even if it's scary. Third, create structure around your spiritual practice. This might sound contradictory, but it's actually exactly what Saturn-Neptune is asking for. If you're someone who's very spiritual but you lack discipline, this is your time to build a consistent practice. Meditate every day, even if it's just 5 minutes. Journal regularly. Create rituals that ground you. If you're someone who's very structured but you've been ignoring your intuition, this is your time to make space for the intangible. Trust your gut. Pay attention to synchronicities. Let yourself be guided by something beyond logic. And fourth, be patient with yourself. Saturn transits are not quick. They're not about instant results. They're about building something sustainable over time. You're planting seeds right now that won't fully bloom for months or even years. But every small action you take, every decision you make that's aligned with your vision, it's compounding. It's creating momentum. Trust the process, even when you can't see the full picture yet. I also want to talk about what might be challenging during this time, because I think it's important to be honest about that. I'm not here to just hype you up and pretend everything's going to be easy if you just think positive thoughts. Saturn transits are hard. They just are. And when you combine Saturn with Neptune in the sign of the warrior, the pioneer, the one who goes first, you're going to hit some rough patches. So let's talk about what those might look like so you're not blindsided when they show up. Saturn and Aries can bring up feelings of loneliness or isolation, especially if you're choosing a path that not everyone around you understands. Aries is an independent sign, and Saturn here can make you feel like you're doing this alone. Like you're the only one who sees what you see, who wants what you want, who's willing to do what needs to be done. And that can be really lonely, especially if you're used to having a lot of support or validation from the people in your life. You might notice that as you start making changes, as you start stepping into this new version of yourself, some people pull back. Not because they don't care about you, but because your evolution makes them uncomfortable. It reflects back to them the changes they're not making in their own life. Or maybe they genuinely don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. Why you're leaving the stable job. Why you're ending the relationship that looked good on paper. Why you're pursuing something that seems risky or unconventional. And Saturn in Aries is going to ask you, can you keep going even when people don't get it? Can you trust your own inner knowing even when you don't have a cheerleading section? Can you be okay with being misunderstood for a while because you know deep down that you're on the right path? That's part of the lesson here. Learning to trust yourself, to be your own authority, to not need external validation to know you're on the right path. And honestly, that's one of the most valuable things Saturn can teach you. Because when you can stand in your own truth without needing everyone else to agree with you or approve of you, you become unshakable. You become free in a way you've never been before. But getting there requires going through this phase where you feel alone, where you question yourself, where you wonder if you're making a huge mistake. That discomfort is part of the initiation. Neptune can bring confusion, doubt, or this feeling like you're not sure what's real anymore. Neptune dissolves boundaries, which sounds beautiful and spiritual, and it can be. But it also means that things that used to feel solid and certain can start feeling unclear. You might question whether your vision is actually achievable or if you're just deluding yourself. You might look at what you're trying to build and think, who am I kidding? This is never going to work. I'm just wasting time on some fantasy that has no basis in reality. That's normal. That's part of working with Neptune. Neptune asks you to have faith in something you can't prove yet, and your rational mind is going to resist that. Your ego is going to try to protect you from disappointment by convincing you to give up before you fail. And when Saturn is involved, when you're actually taking real-world action toward your vision, that doubt can feel overwhelming. Because now you're not just dreaming, you're risking, you're putting yourself out there. You're making yourself vulnerable to failure. The key is to keep coming back to small, tangible actions. When you feel lost in the Neptune fog, when everything feels uncertain and you can't see the bigger picture, don't try to figure out the whole path. Just focus on what's right in front of you. When you feel lost, do one thing. Make one decision. Take one step. That grounds you back into reality. It gives Saturn something to work with. It proves to yourself that you're still moving forward even when you can't see where you're going. And here's something I've noticed with Neptune transits. The confusion often isn't about the vision itself. The vision is usually pretty clear. It's about whether you're allowed to have it, whether you're worthy of it, whether it's realistic for someone like you. Neptune can blur the line between healthy dreaming and escapist fantasy, but it can also blur the line between realistic assessment and fear-based self-sabotage. So when you're doubting yourself, try to identify where that doubt is actually coming from. Is it intuition telling you this isn't right? Or is it fear telling you you're not enough? And the combination of Saturn and Neptune can sometimes manifest as disappointment, like your dreams aren't happening fast enough or the way you expected. You might feel like you're doing everything right. You're taking action. You're being disciplined. You're staying committed, but nothing's changing. Or things are changing, but not in the direction you thought they would. And that can be really frustrating, especially in our instant gratification culture, where we expect to see results immediately. But often what's actually happening is the universe is redirecting you towards something better, something more aligned, but you have to let go of the old vision first. So if things aren't unfolding the way you planned, instead of seeing it as failure, ask yourself, what's trying to emerge here that I'm not seeing yet? What if this detour is actually the main road? What if what feels like a setback is actually a setup for something I couldn't have imagined when I started? Saturn-Neptune conjunctions are famous for this, for taking your vision and refining it through reality until it becomes something more sustainable, more authentic, more aligned with who you actually are, rather than who you thought you should be. But that refinement process can feel like loss. It can feel like your dream is dying, when really it's just evolving into a form that can actually exist in the world. And I think one of the hardest parts of this transit is learning to hold the tension between staying committed and staying flexible. Because Saturn wants commitment. It wants you to keep showing up even when it's hard. But Neptune wants flexibility. It wants you to be open to the vision changing shape as you learn more about what's actually possible. And finding that balance, knowing when to persist and when to pivot, that's an art. There's no formula for it. You have to develop that discernment through experience. So if you're in the middle of this transit and you're struggling, if you're feeling lonely or confused or disappointed, I want you to know that's not a sign you're doing it wrong. That's a sign you're in it. That's a sign the transit is working on you. And sometimes the breakthrough comes right after the moment you wanted to quit. Sometimes the clarity comes after you sat with the confusion long enough to let it teach you something. Sometimes the support shows up after you've proven to yourself that you can do it alone. This is uncomfortable energy, but it's also transformative energy. And the discomfort you're feeling right now, it's shaping you into someone who can actually hold the life you're building. Someone who's strong enough, grounded enough, faithful enough to sustain what you're creating. So don't run from the hard parts. Let them refine you. Let them teach you. Let them make you into the person your future self needs you to be. Look, I know this is a lot. This is heavy energy. And I don't want to minimize that or pretend like this is just another transit we casually move through. But here's what I keep coming back to, what I keep feeling in my own body as I track these planets. Saturn and Neptune at 0 degrees Aries is a cosmic reset button. It's a chance to start fresh in a way that honors both your spiritual vision and your material reality. It's asking you to be the architect of your own life, to take full responsibility for what you're creating, and to do it with courage, even when you're scared. And that responsibility piece, I think that's what makes this feel so intense for some people. Because you can't blame circumstances anymore. You can't say you're waiting for the right time or the right resources or the right support. Aries doesn't wait. Aries acts. And Saturn is here saying, okay, if this is really what you want, if this vision is real, then prove it. Show me through your actions. Show me through your commitment. Show me that you're willing to do the uncomfortable work of actually building this thing instead of just talking about it or hoping it materializes on its own. But at the same time, Neptune is softening that harshness. Neptune is reminding you that you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to know exactly how it's going to work. You just have to trust that if the vision keeps calling you, if your soul keeps pulling you in that direction, then there's something real there worth pursuing, even if other people don't get it, even if it doesn't make logical sense yet. Even if you're scared you're going to fail or look foolish or waste time on something that doesn't work out. That's the dance you're in right now, the practical and the mystical, the structured and the inspired. And honestly, most of us are more comfortable with one side or the other. Either you're great at dreaming but terrible at follow-through, or you're great at execution, but you've lost touch with what actually inspires you. This transit is asking you to integrate both, to be the person who can hold a vision and take consistent action toward it, to be the person who trusts their intuition but also does the work. And the timing of this, happening right now in February 2026, it feels significant in a way that goes beyond astrology. Like we're all collectively waking up to something. There's this sense in the collective field, and maybe you're feeling it too, that we can't keep living the way we've been living, not just on a personal level, but societally. The old models aren't working anymore. The old ways of doing things are breaking down. And yeah, that's uncomfortable. That's scary. Because breakdown always precedes breakthrough. And when you're in the breakdown phase, you can't always see what's coming next. But that's where we are. Individually, you're being called to step into a new version of yourself. A version that's more authentic, more aligned with your actual values, instead of the values you inherited or absorbed from your environment. A version that's braver, more willing to stand alone if necessary, more committed to creating something meaningful, even if the path isn't clear. And collectively, we're being called to reimagine how we live, how we lead, how we relate to each other and the world around us. What does leadership look like when it's not about domination or competition? What does success look like when it's not measured by how much you can accumulate or how many people you can outperform? What does courage look like when it's rooted in compassion instead of aggression? These are the questions this transit is asking us to sit with. Not to answer perfectly or immediately, but to genuinely explore. To let ourselves imagine possibilities that the old paradigm wouldn't allow. And I think there's something really powerful about the fact that this is happening at 0 degrees. Because 0 degrees Aries is literally the starting point of the entire zodiac. It's the spring equinox, the moment when day and night are equal, and then the light starts growing. It's symbolic of new beginnings, fresh starts, the first spark of life after a long winter. When major transits happen at this degree, they ripple out into the collective consciousness in profound ways. They mark historical turning points. They set things in motion that shape decades or even centuries to come. So this isn't just about your personal life, although it absolutely includes your personal life. This is about being part of a collective shift. And your individual transformation, the work you do on yourself, the choices you make, the courage you embody, it contributes to that larger shift. You're not separate from it. You're a cell in the organism of humanity, and when you heal, when you evolve, when you step into a more authentic version of yourself, it affects the whole. So yeah, Saturn just moved into Aries, and something does feel different. Because it is different. This is a turning point. Not in a dramatic one day everything changes way, but in a quiet, undeniable, everything starts shifting from here kind of way. Like the tectonic plates beneath your life have moved just slightly, and you can't go back to where you were standing before. The ground has shifted, and now you have to learn to walk on this new terrain. The seeds you plant now, the decisions you make, the actions you take, they're going to define the next chapter of your life. Not in some abstract, we'll see what happens kind of way, but literally. The choices you make this week, this month, as Saturn and Neptune meet, they're creating the foundation for what the next 2 years look like. Because Saturn builds over time, it compounds. Every small action, every disciplined choice, every moment you choose alignment over comfort, it adds up. And 2 years from now, you're going to look back and see how much those seemingly small decisions mattered. But you have to start. You have to take the first step, even when you don't know where the second step leads. That's what Aries energy demands. That's what this transit is asking of you. Not perfection, not certainty, just willingness. Willingness to try, willingness to risk, willingness to believe in something you can't prove yet. And I think the universe is asking you one simple question right now. Are you ready to build the life your soul is calling you toward? Not someday. Not when you have more money or more time or more support. Not when you feel more confident or more prepared or more deserving. Not when conditions are perfect. Not when you feel more prepared. Now, with courage, with faith, with discipline, with vision. Because here's the truth, and Saturn doesn't let you avoid this truth. If you wait until you're ready, you'll never start. If you wait until you have all the answers, you'll stay stuck in analysis paralysis forever. If you wait until you're guaranteed success, you'll miss the entire opportunity. The time is now. Not because I'm trying to create false urgency, but because Saturn is literally standing at the beginning of Aries saying, this is your moment, this is your cosmic green light, and it's only open for so long. That question the universe is asking you, it's not rhetorical. It requires an answer. And not just a verbal answer, a lived answer. An answer demonstrated through your choices, your actions, your commitment. Are you ready to build the life your soul is calling you toward? Your answer starts today. It starts with whatever small step you take next. And that step, that's what changes everything. That's what Saturn and Neptune in Aries are offering you. The question is, are you going to take it? All right? So that's the energy we're working with. If this resonated with you, leave a like and subscribe for more weekly astrology content. And comment "I'm ready" below. I want to see who's feeling this shift. Take care of yourself through this transit. It's intense, but it's also incredibly powerful if you work with it consciously. I'll see you in the next one.